नमस्कृत्यं परं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 19, Vamandev begs charity from Bali Maharaj. So we read till text number 10 yesterday, or yesterday, correct. So we were talking about Hiranyakashipu. Sri Vamandev is glorifying Bali Maharaj and his great heritage. And now he's talking about Hiranyakashipu. Oh, whenever Hiranyakashipu used to come, even Narsimhadev was thinking, where shall I go and hide myself? Because wherever I go, I see Hiranyakashipu. So, uh, and then he hid himself in the heart of Hiranyakashipu through the medium of the nostril along with his breath. So beautiful and poetic. Let's see the next verse. Sataniketam parimrishya shunyam ampashyamanaha kupito nanada shamam dyam dishakham vivran samudran vishnum vichinvanna dadarsha viraha. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Upon seeing that the residence of Lord Vishnu was vacant, Hiranyakashipu began searching for Lord Vishnu everywhere. Angry at not seeing him, Hiranyakashipu screamed loudly and searched the entire universe, including the surface of the earth and the higher planetary systems, all directions, all the caves in the oceans. But Hiranyakashipu, the greatest hero, did not see Vishnu anywhere. Hmm. So the Lord is in the heart, but demoniac people search everywhere except in the heart. So it is Holiness Bhakti Samrat Maharaj gives this wonderful class about search for happiness. Um, Again, not directly linked with this, but quite some relation here. That we're all searching for whatever we want. In short, happiness. Here, Hiranyakashipu was also thinking, if I kill Vishnu, I'll be happy. I'll take revenge of my brother's death. That will make me happy, right? So in search for happiness, one is searching up and down, going to this country and that country, this thing and that thing, but forgetting to search in the heart where the Lord is present. The treasure is inside, the happiness inside, the journey within, the science of self-realization within. One, the Paramatma is sitting within. One is searching everywhere outside, like the deer searching for the kasturi, the fragrance, but forgetting to search, oh, that fragrance is coming from within. So he could not find the Lord. Of course, here the glorification is of Hiranyakashipu, the greatest hero. That the Lord, the context here is that the Lord was fearful of him. We know that fear personifies fears a lot. The Lord is not fearful, but here Vamandev is glorifying Bali Maharaj and his great heritage, his great grandfather, because that you belong to a great dynasty. So let's see what happens. Text 12. Yes, Sampada Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna text 12. Apasyan iti hovacha mayan vistam idam jagat pratrahame gato nunam yato navartate puman. Translation. Unable to see him, Hiranyaksha said, I have searched the entire universe, but I could not find Vishnu, who has killed my brother. Therefore, he must certainly have gone to that place from which no one returns. In other words, he must now be dead. Purport. Atheists generally follow the Bauddha philosophical conclusion that at death everything is finished. Hiranyakasipu, being an atheist, thought this way because Lord Vishnu was not visible to him. He thought that the Lord was dead. Even today, many people follow the philosophy that God is dead. But God is never dead. Even the living entity who is part of God never dies. Na jayate mriyate va kadajit. For the soul, there is never birth or death. This is the statement of Bhagavad Gita 2.20. Even the ordinary living entity never takes birth or dies. What then is to be said of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the chief of all living entities? He certainly never takes birth or dies. Ajopi son avyayatma, Bhagavad Gita 4.6. Both the Lord and the living entity exist as unborn and inexhaustible personalities. Thus, Hiranyakasipu's conclusion that Vishnu was dead was wrong. As indicated by the words Yato na vartate puman, there is certainly a spiritual kingdom, and if the living entity goes there, he never returns to this material world. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4.9. Deham punarjanma naiti mam eti sorjuna. Materially speaking, every living entity dies. Death is inevitable. But those who are karmis, gyanis, and yogis return to this material world after death, whereas bhaktas do not. Of course, if a bhakta is not completely perfect, he takes birth in this material world again, but in a very exalted position, either in a rich family or a family of the purest brahmanas. Suchinam Shimatam Gehe, just to finish his development in spiritual consciousness. Those who have completed the course of Krishna consciousness and are free from material desire return to the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yad gatvana nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. Here the same fact is stated. Yato navartate puman. Any person who goes back home, back to Godhead, does not return to this material world. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, back to you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So this concept we have been discussing in our Bhagavad Gita classes. There are so many verses, especially in chapter 2, which we are reading in Bhagavad Gita on Saturdays. The science of the body and the soul, the difference in the body and the soul, from text number, practically from text 11 to text 30, all the verses in chapter 2 talk about this, that how the soul is eternal and body is temporary. Whether it's the Anuatma or the Vibhuatma, both are eternal. There is difference in the size. One is infinitesimal, the Anuatma or the atomic soul. And one is the super soul or Paramatma, which is infinite, the ocean. But there are some people, as Prabhupada is mentioning, the Bauddha philosophy or the Buddhist religion or the pseudo religion, even in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada mentions, they think of body as everything. And there is no conception of soul, there is no reincarnation, there is no, well, this life is the end, and after this there's nothing, there's no more kind of, coming back or things like that. So this life is all in all, which is not correct. We have discussed multiple reasons in our Bhagavad Gita sessions as well. So Hiranyakashipu was also an atheistic person, thinking that, oh, the Lord is gone, never to return. In short, he is dead. First of all, Lord is never dead. He appears and disappears. But to speak of Lord, Prabhupada is saying, even the ordinary soul is never dead. Na jayate mriyate va kadachan. So, but atheistic people, Hiranyakashipu-like people, don't want to understand it, don't try to understand it. Too busy in their own self, too busy in their own speculation, not following Guru Sadhu Shastra. So let's see what happens next. Okay, text number 13 here. Lakshay, Prabhu, you want to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Vairana banda etavan amrityar iha dehanam Ajanana Prabhava Manya Aham Manapabrim Hita. Translation. Hiranyakashipu's anger against Lord Vishnu persisted until his death. Other people in the bodily conception of life maintain anger only because of false ego and the great influence of ignorance. Generally speaking, even though the conditioned soul is angry, his anger is not perpetual but temporary. It is due to the influence of ignorance. Hiranyakashipu, however, maintained his enmity against his anger and his anger against Lord Vishnu until the point of death. He never forgot his vengeful attitude toward Vishnu for killing his brother Hiranyaksha. Others in the bodily conception of life were angry at their enemies but not at Lord Vishnu. Hiranyakashipu, however, was everlastingly angry. He was angry not only because of false prestige, but also because of continuous enmity toward Vishnu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Lakshmi Prabhu. So, Hiranyakashipu's anger. We have discussed in Canto 7 of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Narad Muni tells that some devotees remember the Supreme Lord out of anger, some out of fear, some out of love. And actually, Narad Muni goes to the extent of saying sometimes those who remember out of anger are more advanced, right? Because they can't give up their revengeful attitude. And that's what Vaman Dev is saying, that it's not that no, he kind of was angry for 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, till the last breath, till his death. He was constantly thinking about killing Lord Vishnu out of anger. Satatam Smartavya Vishnu, he was following the greatest of the principles, remembering Lord Vishnu always, like Kamsa, like Ravana, all these. And of course, these are the Jay and Vijay, we know that pastime. So it's all Lord's pastime. But remembering the Lord in angry mood is better than not doing anything. But that's not, as Vaishnavas, we don't have to follow this. We have to follow the Mata Yashoda's example, remembering in a favorable mood, or the Goswamis, trying to serve Krishna, not trying to hurt Krishna, not trying to think ill about the Lord. That's also thinking that's better than not doing anything or being atheistic or doing any impersonalistic thing. It's better to be angry with Krishna as a person than to be an impersonalist. But as devotees, as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we have to follow the example of our parampara in a favorable way. That vidhi anukulyena Krishnanu shilna bhakti uttama. Anukul bhakti, favorable bhakti. Okay, any other comments, additions here? Puna Mataji, you want to read this verse, text 14?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, sure. Dandavat Pranam everyone. Text 14. Pita prahada putraste tadidwan di javatsala Sowama Yurdi Jaling Gevyo Devivyo Data Sa Yachitam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Prabhupada Ki Jai. Your father, Virochana, the son of Maharaja Prahlad, was very affectionate toward Brahmanas, although he knew very well that it was the demigods who had come to him in the dress of Brahmanas. At their request, he delivered to them the duration of his life. Purport: Maharaja Virochana, Vali's father, who was so pleased with the Brahmana community that even though he knew that those approaching him for charity were the demigods in the dress of Brahmanas, he nonetheless agreed to give it. Hare Krishna Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So, it's quite straightforward. Bali Maharaj is the son of Virochana, who is the son of Prahlad Maharaj, who is the son of Hiranyakashipu. So first, Bali Maharaj glorified about Hiranyaksha, the great-grand uncle, then the great-grandfather, then the grandfather, and the father. And all of those were great. And all of this had great qualities. Now, it's interesting that this boy, this is just a 10-year-old boy, but knows everything. Isn't that interesting? But he's not an ordinary 10-year-old boy. He is Supreme Lord. So, but nonetheless, the point here is how he is encouraging, how he's telling about his father, his grandfather, that they were so charitable. Even though sometimes Brahmanas would come in disguise, the demigods would come in disguise of Brahmanas, he would only see that, oh, the Brahmanas have come, I'll give whatever I've told. Because Vamandev is actually doing the same thing. He also has come in the disguise of a Brahmana, right? So in short, he's telling, oh, your father also did the same thing. So you must also follow his good example, right? And it's very helpful sometimes to, like sometimes I know devotees go and ask for some, let's say, can you help with the book distribution? And then I've seen this myself. I was going with a senior devotee, and then he said pretty much the same thing. And then the son was in his 30s. The father is not at home, and this devotee did not know the son, but the father. He said, well, father is a very charitable person. He always gives nice donation to sponsor books, to take Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. And he encouraged the father and said, well, and explained why we do book distribution, how these books go to different universities and jails and prisons and government schools and stuff. And this person said, well, my father used to do, so I'll just do on behalf of him, right? For a good cause that devotees have come. Of course, many people in India are very pious still. So this is very practical also in today's situation also. Let's see the next verse, text 15. Anita Mataji, are you in a position to read? Maybe not. Yes, Moksha Mataji.
Hare Krishna, all devotees. Dandavat Pranam. Text 15. Bhavana acharan aratinan dharman astito grahe dibhi brahmanahi purvajih sunner anayas kodama kirtibhi. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. You also have observed the principles followed by great personalities who are householder Brahmanas, by your forefathers and by great heroes who are extremely famous for their exalted activities. So here, in context to giving charity to a Brahmana, it is said that Bali Maharaj has also followed the great personalities along with his grandfather. Means like he is very much in favor of giving charity to the Brahmana, whether uh, may or may not he may be a demigod disguised, but he is disguised as a Brahmana. So, so giving respect to the Brahmana body itself, he was very much in favor to giving the charity, as it is always said that it is the duty of a person living in a grahastha ashrama to first serve the people living in people who are brahmana or living in the sannyas ashrama or brahmacharis, and then a grahastha should eat. So in that ways he is very willing and in favor to give charity to Vaman Dev. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mataji. So nicely you mentioned. There could be Brahmanas who are like in the renounced order, like brahmacharis or sannyasis, etc. They give charity in a different way. They give the charity of knowledge. They're giving the charity of their life. They've given their life is for others' benefit. But grihasthas, they earn income, so they have to give charity, or they should give charity in the terms of course, by time, energy also. Uh, but wealth is one of the foremost, because the other ashrams are dependent. Our society is a society of interdependence. The Brahmanas, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Shudra, the Grihastha, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. Everyone is interdependent. We are not independent, we are interdependent. So we have to understand that and try to do our part, not thinking if, oh, the others are doing their part or not, but I have to do my part. That should be the objective. What is expected of me as per the Guru Sadhu Shastra? If I do my best, Krishna will arrange for the rest. So, giving charity purifies even the great souls. Pavanani Manishinam, Bhagavad Gita says. Yajnadana Tapa. They purify even the great souls. Okay, so not only he is glorifying, his father, grandfather, etc., but he's glorifying Bali Maharaj. Vaman is glorifying Bali Maharaj also. That there could be someone in a great family, but we totally oppose it, right? Like famous example, what's his name? We read in Canto, in the previous cantos we read. Anyone remembers the name? They did the manthan of his body to get.
Maharaj
Forgetting.
Vena? Are you thinking of Maharaj Vena?
Yes, thank you, Mataji. Maharaj Vena. Although he is a great heritage, but he himself was very, very cruel. Himself very cruel, torturing everyone. But here, Vamandev is telling that not only you have great heritage, great strength, great charitable attitude, not only your forefathers had that, you also have that. So, any other comments, any additions before we pause? So we'll continue with the next verse tomorrow. Any other comments anyone has in this section, or any other additions? Thank you so much for your regular association. Raghu Prabhu, Mesh Prabhu, Vipul Prabhu, Nandini Mataji, Sudhir Prabhu, Puna Mataji, Moksha Mataji, Sampada Mataji, Anita Yadav Mataji, thank you, Kirti Mataji, Lakshya Prabhu, Babu Prabhu, Vikant Prabhu, Kriti Kundu Mataji, Swati Mataji, Vijay Mataji. I'm so grateful to all of you. You take out your time every day to read Bhagavatam with enthusiasm. It's not easy to do these spiritual activities every day, but I'm so grateful to all of you for regularly giving your time and good association. So we will pause here. Anita Mataji, you were saying something? Sorry.
Sorry, Prabhuji.
No. Thank you for joining. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम पुराण की जय, श्री चैतन्य चरितामृत की जय, प्रभुपाद की जय, समवेत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय, वंशा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो
Namo Namah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.